There'll be an option to walk in terms of how they do their fitness. Now, fitness is important and it's going to be here to stay. Like some people ask me, is it going away?
Let's take a look at Business Insider's new piece on what new Air Force recruits go through in the grueling training. Let's go.
Move forward, move forward.
This is boot camp.
Now, the recruiting piece for this has changed radically in the last year. The other piece the Air Force put out was very touchy-feely lovey.
Get up and touch the log. Get up and touch that log. Let's go.
Now they're going more towards what looks like the Coast Guard recruiting piece with Business Insider. Let me know if it looks very similar to you.
Before they join the United States, all trainees must graduate from the Air Force's 7.5-week basic military training program, known as BMT.
Our mission is to motivate, train, and inspire the next generation of airmen to deliver 21st century air power.
Training happens.
How about just train a basic airman so they can go on to their next A school or MOS school? Maybe that's a good idea. These ridiculous, politically correct bullshit.
Here at Lackland Air Force Base.
Whenever I said I was going Air Force, everybody's like, oh, the Chair Force, like basic's gonna be nothing. And I was sitting there thinking, man, I should have went another route. This is gonna be way too easy.
You're wearing your failure all over your face.
And I could not have been more wrong.
Well, he must be a softie. I've never heard one individual, lots of friends in the Air Force, who said their boot camp was grueling. Now, does it need to be? That's probably the bigger issue. Probably not. For 7-8 weeks, they can get into better shape, know what yes or no, sir means. Basic shit you'd expect out of someone in the military, or quite frankly, any employee.
Some of these kids come here never having left home, no job experience, but not long after they leave here, they're going to be given a job and a task and expected to perform that task with no supervision.
There, hug your back, nothing falls out. That's all this comes.
All trainees are sorted into smaller groups known as flights, although training squadrons.
Look at the little wee lad up front. Those little wee guys tend to be aggressive, typically better shape. So he's the guide, huh? And then you got the rest of them following suit. They all look pretty soft. Like I don't see a vein in the bunch popping out of a bicep, but what does that mean anyway, right? They could be rock star athletes joining the Air Force.
Are composed of both male and female trainees. The flights are divided by gender. During 0 week, male trainees receive haircuts. Female trainees must wear their hair in a bun, a ponytail, or up to 2 braids.
All right, right there, that's part of the patriarchy. Shave all their heads. Let's get into it. Let's join the club, man.
And in 1976, began being accepted on an equal basis with males. Today, 20% of the Air Force's active duty service members are female.
Now, I question every one of these statistics. I like Business Insider, but when you get into these details, statistics can be used in lots of ways. They were accepted in every role. The only roles that ladies have not been part of in the military historically has been combat roles, which has changed. So in the Air Force, I would guess maybe in pilots, they weren't allowed to be fighter pilots up until said point. But otherwise, I have a hard time with some of these facts, having been in during the time frame or know people that were, not the Wikipedia.
Along with about 25% of all trainees at BMT. Trainees learn how to line up and march in formation from their military training instructor, or MTI, which for some can be easier said than done.
There you go, leave it all on the track.
Mornings at BMT begin at 0600 with physical training.
5 seconds! Come on, man, keep going. All right, you're done.
All trainees must pass a physical fitness test during the 5th week of their training, which consists of 1 minute each of push-ups and sit-ups, as well as a timed 1.5-mile run.
Good job, keep going, gentlemen.
Well, this training cycle that Business Insider put out is a lot better than the last one. The other one looked like Romper Room. For those of you who don't know what that is, it looked like a day camp that my 8-year-old go to. It looks pretty good, for what they need, right, in the Air Force. I would hope we could get to a higher standard of goal, like maybe run 3 miles, get them in better shape. This is a one-time event for them. All of them want to test themselves. All of them want to be in better shape. Now, maybe it's because we're worried about fails, dropouts, right?
MTI to personal trainer.
Good job, good run.
Like, they come in and they really encourage you. If you're struggling, they'll tell you, like, hurry up, let's get this done, and they'll do it with you.
There you go, burn through this last lap. There you go.
After morning PT, known as chow. But meals aren't a time for relaxation.
Sir, flight 727, dormitory Alpha 1 is prepared to enter the dining facility from the west side.
Storm Bravo 6 is prepared to enter the dining facility from the east side.
Bring him in and seat him.
Bring him in and seat them. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
You gotta do the right amount of steps, the right drill movements. You gotta say the right words, or you're gonna get screamed at.
What are you doing? What is happening right here?
Now, for a lot of us, that yelling reminds me of the high school cafeteria. That's the way it was. So I think it's good if these kids get yelled at because they haven't been. A lot of other countries will say, why all the yelling, JT? Is it necessary? We have such a diverse country culturally that I think it is necessary. So we've got people from all over the globe, different manners in which to parent or not parent. So I think it brings people together with a norm like, listen to me, I'm telling you to do something, I need you to do it today, not 5 minutes from now.
May face the wrath of the snake pit, the area where MTIs sit during meals.
You stepped out in traffic, and almost got ran over. Because it was not your turn. There's no explanation for it. Back up.
Really, it's an important job because you represent your flight. They put people in there who got confidence issues, to build their confidence.
So you're forgetting to do so is what got you. Stop talking when I'm talking!
That's my point right there. The kid doesn't know to shut up, the grown-ups are speaking. So they gotta yell. Like, they should have learned this kind of thing at home. For countries that have a more cohesive culture, I will call it, to stay safe on the tube, you don't have as much of this where people don't understand basic shit. Like someone speaking to you in a position of authority, keep your mouth shut unless asked to speak. That's important in the military and probably more important in business as you want to succeed and make that money, right?
Attention to detail is a critical aspect of BMT, and it starts in the dormitory. Trainees are expected to keep their living areas and uniforms in pristine condition, and both are inspected regularly by their MTIs.
There's a plethora of things that they have to make sure are perfect down to the T, and if they aren't, we're gonna let them know that this does not meet the standard. They're gonna be expected to correct it.
During 0 week,
this looks so much better than the last video that Business Insider put out. And I'll throw some clips in here.
You're gonna get this done. Hey, go. Give me 2 on the rope at a time. Press that yellow tape at the top. Get off.
It looks like they're doing what I'd expect, like squaring away the uniforms, cleaning their weapon. They have the weapon in the squad bay with them. I don't know why they're still doing this at this stage in the game. They're all young, healthy, but whatever. I like it.
Each trainee is assigned a rifle, which they learn to care for.
My heels are pretty much trying to touch the ground, and I'm facing downrange.
35% of BMT is classroom instruction.
Right now, what you're going to do is go to the high kneeling position.
Trainees learn the basics of how to hold their rifles in a variety of different shooting positions.
Because we're an expeditionary force, an airman can find themselves in any location around the world really at a moment's notice. So we have to maintain our qualifications and our service weapon.
A lot of people say, hey, they're going to be in the Air Force supporting the greater good, the air power. But you remember back to Jessica Lynch. For those of you who don't know, Google it. Supply clerk driving around trying to drop off some stuff, gets taken in. A lot of people could be sitting back doing some admin job, deployed, mind you, and they say, hey, we need some bodies for a convoy. No big deal. So all this is important for them, not for some ego trip, but really for them. If they're going to join an outfit where they could have to use a weapon, the training's important.
Nowhere is attention to detail more apparent than in drill practice.
Precision and discipline incorporated into certain movements in a formation. I will say during the first couple weeks of training, they are drinking from a fire hose. The drill is much more difficult for them.
Training culminates in week 6 with an event known as BEAST, which stands for Basic Expeditionary Airman Skills Training.
BEAST puts them through all the things that they have learned in 5.5, 6 weeks, and we rehearsed it, if you will.
The military cannot get away from the acronyms, period. Those of you guys that have been in or work for the government, you can appreciate there's always a new acronym, and usually there's one adjective with another noun acronym that they change. Like, it took me a while to know what a CAT card was. Like, a military ID card wasn't good enough. Now I've got a military ID card, retired one, but I don't know if it's a CAT card. It just says my rank, branch of service, and indefinite. But I don't know if that's a CAT card. I mean, is there a need for all that complication?
During Beast Week, trainees live in a simulated combat environment and are tested on various field training exercises and scenarios.
I want their backs to hurt, and I want their feet to hurt after that 5 days of training out in the field. Because they need to ingrain to them right now the character. What does it take to be our agile airman and our agile guardian in the United States Air Force?
During combat arms training and maintenance, trainees learn how to handle and fire an M4 carbine.
Forward! Slow!
Now, we need a Beast Week more than ever, because most of these young folks haven't worked a manual labor job, never were hot, too cold. You know, they grew up with a good life, most of them today. They didn't go out laying blocks in Florida in the summer. So this is going to help them realize, hey, my feet hurt, I have to continue standing. I have a bug biting me on the ear, I can't scratch it. And is it important for their job long term? It's important for them to grow up, basically.
Trainees first learn how to safely load and fire their weapons in the classroom before heading out to the firing range.
The line is ready. Fire!
Where they'll fire their weapons from several different positions. Trainees fire a total of 76 rounds and must hit their target on at least 12 of them. Trainees who score 22 or higher.
I hope 76 rounds just for the qualification. If that's the total, might as well just skip this exercise. I don't know if there's any point beyond feeling how the weapon goes bang in your shoulder, makes a little bit of noise. I don't know if that's going to be useful 76 rounds. Hopefully, correct me if I'm wrong, you airmen out there, that's just for the qualification course to make sure you're capable with the weapon.
If they lose fundamentals, they get frustrated. They tend not to qualify.
You guys ready? Yes, sir. All right, let's do it again. Let's go.
But if you keep them motivated, that part will ensure that they either qualify or get that expert.
There's a sense of
Here we go. This weapons training should be done by people in the military. As you can see, it's all done by contractors now. I'm not against contractors, but now we're dealing with an employee, a middleman selling to the U.S. government. Why we can't have airmen that's their job, combat arms instructor, something of that sort, teaching other airmen is beyond me.
That when an airman leaves here, that they're confident in holding and operating a weapon. Some people come here, they've never touched any weapon of any kind in their life, so that confidence is important to us.
Trainees don gas masks during CBRN training, where they learn how to protect themselves during a chemical, biological, radiological, or nuclear attack.
Let's go, let's go, let's go! Get out of here!
Trainees run through a simulated attack and conduct post-attack reconnaissance of their surrounding area, where they check for damage, as well as any unexploded explosive ordnance. Due to COVID-19 protocols, trainees are not exposed to any dangerous chemicals during BMT.
That's kind of the point, right? Because you put the mask on, you're falling asleep in some training session. Oh yeah, whatever, buddy. Then you go to the gas chamber, you realize, okay, this stuff, you get the picture. You feel it, you taste it. I don't understand how Rona has anything to do with the gas chamber. But this training overall, I'm very happy to see they're doing something that's useful for these guys. Hopefully there's not much PowerPoint on Emma.
Training that does include exposure is scheduled to return in early 2022.
2 feet, 2 feet, 2 feet, yeah, 2 feet, 24 inches.
I believe it's 97 degrees right now, and the gear that they're wearing adds about 15 degrees of body heat. So it's challenging both physically and mentally.
I know it's hot, I know it's miserable out here, but you need to make sure you're paying attention.
I think it's a unique experience. I remember the first time I put on a gas mask and how cool I thought it was, but there's no doubt that after wearing that...
How cool he thought it was. He had a little different experience than I did, buddy. We had Vietnam era gas masks. They cheat you out of Dawn and Clear and all that shit. You go to the gas chamber, they start leaking around every which way to Sunday. They never worked. I don't care who you were. We could never get a good seal. And then you get mop gear on top of that, get deployed, take the PB, and you wonder if there's a nerve gas attack. Is it really going to work? Well, I hope they're better.
Here for a few hours, especially in the Texas heat, they probably get tired of it pretty quickly. I like to joke with some of my students and tell them, hey, the best part of Seaburn is returning the gear at the end of the day.
What is this? LDP1. What is LDP1?
But the sounds of gunfire and explosives, along with the presence of role players acting as opposing forces and innocent bystanders.
Boy, that was a gaggle of people around that one pretend cement barrier, right? I don't know if you'd ever want to be that big of a gaggle. Doesn't seem like they're getting a lot of hands-on instruction now. It's only a couple of minutes in, but you'd expect a little more, hey, spread out. Get some fire down range. Who's on the saw, right? Who's got the big, heavy gun?
Make for a stressful environment.
We all kind of rushed in and then didn't really know what to do. We were all just kind of like looking around like, what the heck is going on?
And that's my point. They don't know what's going on, what you'd expect that. It doesn't seem like they're getting a lot of instruction like, it grabs them by their web gear, move over here. You've kind of walked through it in advance. Okay, we get contact right, front, whatever. Here's what we do. It doesn't seem like they're having that in this training. Hopefully I'm missing that.
A plan, and then it completely fell apart. Like as soon as we walked through, pretty much, it fell apart.
Bang, 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 bang.
We are responsible for throwing the different scenarios at them, having them feel the pressure while they're out here at the village. That way they can actually use their minds and think about what it is that we've taught them and trained them on in a scenario where they're actually under pressure.
Like these kids have never played tag or outdoors kids sports. Like they're all sitting in a cluster. The pretend bad guy comes up and just goes bang, no less, throw a grenade. You know, you want to, if you're going to do it, spend the time and money, at least train them right. Looks like they are. Knowing you can't cluster up like that, it's not going to be good for you. And just real simple example. Hey, in Iraq at this point, there was an IED that was right here, or a person who clacked off a vest. Here's what the good parts and bad parts were. We were spread out, you know, perimeter control. That seems like you could, there's so much experience to provide these guys. Hopefully they're getting enough classroom because they just seem clueless.
Hands above your head. Spread your fingers. Spread your feet.
No 360-degree perimeter. I want them to make mistakes. I want to correct those mistakes and tell them this is why it was a mistake and move forward from it.
Y'all are all trained to T-Triple-C, right? Somebody send this down airman then.
Once the trainees reach the injured airmen, they must quickly and safely apply T-Triple-C.
Wake up! Calm down and think.
Before evacuating them to safety.
You guys ready? We're going this way. Let's go.
Hey, this is why we train out here. This is why we harp on all of those things that we teach you when you're doing fast and T-Triple-C, because all of this stuff comes into play whether you're here or downrange. And
I was judging this pretty hard before I watched it, and I have to say, it looks like they've got the right elements. Improved over the last time, right? And I'll put the link in the description to the last video, maybe a year and a half ago. The boot camp was a complete waste of time. In this part of it looks significantly better, and I'm happy. Why, you may ask? I get that question. Not because it needs to be hard as the old days, right? No, because I'll have grandkids. I have kids that are in their 20s. If they got deployed for a reason, as, say, a doctor, I want them to know the basics to come back in one piece. Like a teacher goes to a job, more likely than not, they're not going to be in a combat scenario. Probably pretty certain. This could happen. could be a real thing. Why not spend 2 days training them? Some basics, maybe once a year shoot a weapon. It's in their best interest, no matter how much tech we get. This part of it's still tangible to the families at home.